I have a selfish question I want to ask you, because you're more on the low sugar, I would say, side of the raw food.
Yeah.
Yes, equation, and there's others too that I've heard with this experience. Like John Kohler is one that comes to mind, who I was talking with about this at Texas Fruit Festival, and or he was talking about it in his talk. But I've eaten more the kind of low fat, more higher carb, higher fruit, and so, but I'm 35, and I've heard people talk about as they get older, they do less sugar, and so how would I look at that? Because my whole thing is if I eat, what's the least bad thing to eat? Because if I eat less sugar, then I need to eat more protein and fat. But protein and fat, they're also more complex to digest in some ways than sugar, but then sugar can. So how should I be thinking about all this? Because it's like,
Well, first of all, diabetes runs in my family.
Okay.
So I have to be, I think, a lot more careful than a lot of people. I had a great-grandmother that had a leg amputated to it. My mother, hypoglycemia, so it runs in my family.
And your mom and grandmother and great-grandmother, how old were they?
My mother died at 47, transitioned. My grandmother transitioned at 50, and my great-grandmother at 60. So at 78,
Wow. Okay.
I've done what I needed to do.
Okay.
Or I would continue to do what I need to do. So, and I know I mentioned briefly when I was younger, I smoked pot. I smoked cigarettes at one time.
Okay.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I was a cool king-size girl.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But the day my mother died is when I quit, because she smoked too. I threw them away and never smoked again after that. But so, I didn't always live this lifestyle. And in the beginning of being vegan vegetarian, I was loading up on everything just to feel comfortable, which is what you do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. When you live with, well, I can't do this, I can't do that. How long can you do that?
Okay.
So I went with what was comfortable for me. But I also believe that excessive amounts of sugar, and I know a lot of fruitarians, and I've had them come after me on this before, first of all, our fruit isn't like it was when God created it. It is so sweeter.
Okay, it's hybridized.
It's hybridized.
And bred to have more
sugar. Everything. I mean, and you can just see the difference if you go to Europe and eat the same fruits over there as opposed to here, the difference in how they taste. But I also believe that if you have the kind of genetic makeup and you were brought up on breast milk and then you went to this, you probably can live on fruit. If you're going outside climbing the tree to get it, if you're walking miles to get your fruit, but driving to the grocery store, expending no energy to get this kind of sugar, I think is too much for most people on a consistent basis.
Okay.
So I know when I started teaching the sugar break, I think everybody needs to take a break from sugar, and I'll give you that experience. When I went from a carnivore to a vegetarian, I thought, oh my God, look how great I feel. And then I went from being a vegetarian to a vegan, and I thought, oh my God, this is how you feel? And then I went from being a vegan to a raw foodist, and I went, really, Karen, this is life? And then I went from raw, and I gave up sugar for 6 months, fruit and everything. I lost another 10 years on my face. I had more energy and felt better than I ever had. So that's the experience for me. So I was telling the story and talking about it, and then some little fruitarian came on and said, I know this guy that lives in the jungle and he's eating fruit every day and he climbs the trees. And I said, there's the thing, he's climbing the tree to get the fruit. He's not driving to the grocery store having it delivered in U-Cart. He's expending the energy. Okay, when we were fruitarians, we had to roam the planet. We had to run away from mastodons and stuff. We weren't sitting behind computers.
Okay. And you see this with the athletes, whether it's Lance Armstrong and these high-performance athletes, they take in fructose because they want that pure fuel.
That's what you need. But sitting behind your computer every day, you don't need that kind of fuel. And so I think it's too much for people to process. And I think it gives you cravings. I think you develop, the brain starts to change a little bit, and you get a little, I don't want to sound upset. You get a little, I don't know, just some of the people
you become like a crackhead for
right.
fruit.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to say?
And I think it's okay to be a fruitarian, but you have to give yourself a break from it. And I think if you're doing lots of fruit, you should be balancing it with as many greens.
Yes. Okay. You're big on greens.
I'm really big on greens.
Yes.
The oxygen. And so, like, I have fruit in here. Yes. I do chlorella. I do moringa leaf. I don't have any wheatgrass growing right now, but a lot of times I do. I do spirulina is one of my favorites. I'm big on algae. So as long as you're balancing it with a green, it's not going to have the same effect on you. I don't believe. I learned that from Dr. Cousins.
Yeah. Also the energy soup recipe.
So if you're balancing it, and like I gave you today, but I have as many greens as sweets that I put in there.
Okay. Yes, we had a juice that was amazing.
So I believe everybody should take a break from sugar, all sweets, for 10 days, a couple of times a year. Okay. So I run this sugar break. It'll be coming up again in January, where we just take 10 days. You can do monk fruit and you can do dates. Now, you talked about sugar. You can do all the dates you want. Oh. They don't affect the glycemic levels in the body whatsoever, and neither does monk fruit.
Oh, wait, monk fruit and...
Or dates.
Oh, okay.
Or stevia.
Stevia. Not dates.
Yeah, dates, but I don't like the taste of stevia. That's why I don't use it, but it's great for you.
Oh, okay.
But dates, I always have dates soaking. I make date paste. I use dates and everything because it's just fiber, and it gives you that sweet taste. In fact, I'm developing a whole bunch of new recipes for my sugar break with using date paste and dates.
But it doesn't have sugar in it?
But they've done all kinds of studies. It doesn't affect the glycemic index in your body, whatever.
Okay.
So you put some dates in your car.
Okay.
And you want something sweet, chew on a date. Wow.
Okay. And so this going back to this I love that. I love your approach to this though, Karen, because there's too much infighting that's happening, and you're someone who, you're not making anybody wrong, or any of the more fruitarian people. You're not saying that hey, you're wrong or something. You're saying, hey, we're all in this together. Basically
figure out what's going to work for you. I'm just offering something to see, is this going to make a difference? I'm going to say one last thing about the sugar. I don't know how it is in Texas where you are, but out here where I live, every other person is dragging their mother around with dementia or Alzheimer's, right? And it's not a disease of old age; it's a disease of sugar. It's
insulin resistance
in the
plaque
brain. On the brain. Yes.
Amyloid plaque.
I mean, there's other stuff, but that's a huge part of it.
Okay. All right, my grandmother suffers from this.
We just visited my husband's sister. We see it coming on. I have 2 clients right now, and one I've got on a sugar break. She doesn't allow her, but dates and whatever, and it's turning around.
Oh, okay. Huh.
It's been 8 months. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's turning around. Where she was in a diaper, she can go to the toilet now.
Wow. Okay.
Give up the sugar.
We're here with Karen Calabrese. Shopkarens.com is where you can find the sugar detox.
The sugar break. I don't call it I call it a break.
Sugar break.
I don't want you to think I'm deep.
If you want to have the sugar break, if you want to have your hand held through the process, or if you want to, there's a community. If you need more community.
It will be starting again after January. It's closed down for right now because I've been traveling, but it will be starting again after January. So sign up for my emails and you'll get all the information. Join me on Instagram. And by the way, Karen is spelled Karyn. Yes. Not Ian. I'm not that Karen. I'm a different Karen. And I will announce these things on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and email.
Yes, at Karen with a Y, Karen Calabrese. Make sure you're following Karen
Calabrese.